So how does someone believe it even though it hasn't happened yet?
So I don't love the statement, fake it till you make it.
I don't like it either.
But I will put
I like face it till you make it.
I like that too. I would say believe it until you are it. You know, that's kind of what neuroplasticity would say. So with neuroplasticity, it's psychological work, right? But it's actually not. It's actually physiological work. And so I work with a lot of guys in financial services who, you know, emotional intelligence is a big thing that we need to work on. And I've had, you know, these people who are very, very successful genuinely be so frustrated. I don't understand, like, what am I supposed to do? People say I'm not nice to them, you know. What am I actually supposed to do? So this is what I say to them. Imagine a field of grass. And on day one, you walk through the field and the grass is high and, you know, you're sort of flattening as you walk. And then you walk there every day until you've trodden a little path into the grass. And then you keep walking there until it becomes like a muddy path. Then you might lay some paving stones. And then you build a proper path. That's what you're doing in your brain when you change any behavior. And I remember when I learnt Danish, which was super hard.
Gosh.
Yeah. And I, you know, I've mentioned to you that I prefer to eat healthily, but I was literally taking like a can of Coke or like a bag of Maltesers to the Danish lessons. And it was 90 minutes. And by about an hour, I would feel so tired and so hungry.
Exhausting, isn't it?
Exhausting, yeah.
I'm learning Spanish right now, and I'm trying to change my language around it being exhausting and being hard. Because I think the more I say that, it's going to continue to reinforce that it's exhausting and challenging. So I've been trying the last few months to say, you know what, this is a fun experience. You know, this is an experiment. It's challenging, but it's a good challenge, and I'm learning every time. It's hard for me, and it's trying to add a positive reinforcement as opposed to, man, this is hard. Because it has been challenging up until now to learn Spanish fluently. And I also think I have this huge expectation, like I'm going to be able to speak like a native Mexican speaker, but and I think sometimes we forget how far we've come, you know?
Yeah, acknowledging that is so important.
Yeah.
Can I give you a bit of inspiration?
Give it to me.
So I did 8 weeks of lessons. I then went to Denmark for some holidays, and I came back and had a lesson. And at some point she said, okay, great, you know, we're done for now, see you next week. And I was like, was that 90 minutes? And so basically the 90 minutes I hadn't got hungry, I hadn't got tired, I'd got through the lesson, and I realised I've gone past that tipping point of neuroplasticity. You're at the point where you're digging for gold and you'd like to give up. And you just have to get past that point.
I feel like I've been there for like a year. You know?
But, you know, if you think about, I'm genuinely sure this will help you going forward, and please let me know if it does. If you think about it like building that pathway, building that brick wall.
I like that.
Then you sort of acknowledging that it's physical work sometimes takes away that frustration that you think you should just be getting it and you're not. Because I don't think you would blame yourself in the same way if it was like a sport.
No.
Exactly.
Right. But it's like a physical workout.
Yeah.
Why does it seem like a physical workout when you're just thinking something and speaking and listening?
Because it is physical work. You're building a pathway in your brain. You're not just thinking. Thinking doesn't happen without neuronal connections. So you're building you're connecting neurons through synapses, you're myelinating pathways, you know all this stuff. And
what does that do to the body when you're doing that to the brain?
It's the same as doing a workout. It's
using energy.
It's using up glucose, yeah.
Fascinating. Which makes you hungry or tired or whatever it might be.
And frustrated at points as well, you know, because once you've made enough synapses and connections and maybe myelinated the pathway. So there's 3 physiological aspects to neuroplasticity. Myelination is literally just making a pathway a faster pathway. So, for example, we have myelinated pathways to snatch our hand out of fire, but we have non-myelinated pathways for pain. Because if you immediately, felt the pain, you wouldn't be able to remove yourself from the danger. And what you're doing in your brain now with Spanish is you're connecting up neurons that already exist through synapses. So you're making a new pathway for Spanish. Judging by how hard you're finding it, it's possible that you are in the memory centers of your brain actually inducing neurogenesis, which is embryonic cells becoming fully formed neurons and then connecting up through synapses with established neurons and then maybe getting myelinated.
Okay. What does that mean?
That's really hard work. So in the adult brain,
oh, man.
So, children can learn like 5 languages at the same time, from a young age. And if you do have kids and you want to bring them up bilingual.
Oh, I'm going to definitely do that for sure.
Yeah. So you have to have a different parent speaking a different language, or a different, a grandparent or
interesting.
nanny or whatever, so that they understand daddy's English, mummy's Spanish.
Interesting.
So otherwise they muddle up the words, and that can be...
That's interesting.
So kids can do that easily because they've got lots of embryonic neurons. They're, in the first 2 years of life, it's amazing. They go from being completely helpless to walking, talking.
Right.
For us, it's harder, but it's possible.
Right.
And neurogenesis, which is literally embryonic cells becoming neurons, may not be happening that much in the adult brain, but the synaptic connection is happening a lot.
What's interesting, I've never felt like I've had a good memory when it comes to books, like things I'm reading in school. I think it's because school was so challenging, and the belief was I always tested poorly, and so it just reaffirmed that I wasn't good at it, right? Based on the way that school was created for us. But in sports, I could remember really well, right? So I could remember other things, or if I'd meet someone and they told me some weird thing about them, like I would remember this, right? And I could remember it 10 years later, something like that. So when it was more physical and active, I felt like I had incredible muscle memory, right? And I felt like I had incredible wisdom, but I didn't feel like I was smart. Like I felt like I understood people, but I couldn't remember something I read in a page 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Like I would have to repeat reading something over and over again to be like, what just happened? What did I just read? I couldn't comprehend words. But I could connect with people and emotions and movement and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out what's that way to learn Spanish through that way. Or anything new. Because I think one of the greatest parts about life, especially after childhood, is like creating new adventures and not staying stuck in the same routine, but having new experiences, new adventures, and learning new things. I love that you like to learn something new every year. I think that's a secret to keeping you young and youthful and looking 31,
Thank you. So 2 things I'd like to raise about that. One is that you've obviously done the work and become very successful, but there are a lot of people who would be stuck in that I'm not smart. And I was stuck in I'm not creative till I was 35, starting to give the numbers away, Lewis.
Like 2 years ago. Huh?
So I was told at high school, because I wasn't good at art, that I wasn't creative. And I completely believed that I wasn't creative. I didn't think I could do anything but be a doctor for the rest of my life. And through a series of events, which even probably I am not aware of the complexity of, I woke up one morning and I thought, I never chose to be a doctor. My parents told me to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I was told at school I was smart. I was so smart that I didn't just do an MD, I did a PhD as well. And I said to myself that morning, if I'm so effing smart, what do I actually want to do?
With my life.
Yeah. And so, that was the start of my life. And within a short period of that, I realized I'm creative. I might not be able to do a good painting, although I actually can now. So the belief, also changed me. I started doing more art and stuff as well. But, I created a business. I created a new life. I created a home. When I do my cooking, I'm creative. I've even, there was a time that I looked in the mirror. I had this narrative, I'm not a writer, I'm not an author, because my PhD was so traumatic. Writing it was like really the worst thing in my life. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, Tara, you've got a best-selling, award-winning book that's translated into 38 languages. You are a writer.
I know, it's crazy, right?
So there's that whole narrative that, even you and I have got things in our head which are like, I'm not smart, I'm not creative. So, you know, think about people that haven't had the opportunities that we've had, or who don't know about neuroplasticity. That's why it's, you know, my passion and my heart, because I just believe that that's such a key to unlocking things for so many people.
Yeah.
And I think I have forgotten the other thing that I was going to say. I said two things, right? So one was the narrative about not believing that you were smart. Mm-hmm. I think the other one, you know, was this sort of understanding neuroplasticity to become things that you maybe think you are.
Sure.
When I manifest something, I move it to a separate section called manifested, so that I'm actually seeing that, you know, I'm ticking these things off, because that makes me more likely to believe that I can tick off the bigger things that might take longer.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's basically just reinforcing to your brain that good things happen, that you can achieve the things that you wanted.